Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and I'm not alone. I'm never alone. I've always got John.
I'm always here. Even when we stop recording, I'm still here.
He's always here. If anyone could send help, please send some help.
Don't do it.
I don't know where we were going with that. Anyway, there's been for a long time now, everyone's been saying about Skyward Sword HD. Oh, we want to know more about the new stuff, and Nintendo has been surprisingly stum about it. And, sort of people have been wondering, they've been drip-feeding little bits here and there, talking about the same things over and over again. But now they have finally released a trailer that is just called Quality of Life, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Brackets Nintendo Switch. I don't know about you, John, but when I saw this and then subsequently showed you this, assuming you'd already seen it, I was quite excited.
I was very excited when I finally found out what it was. I've been wanting to hear about the quality of life improvements for this game for so long, because I honestly hate the HD factor is so little compared to what the rest of the game is. Twilight Princess HD in particular had a lot of quality of life improvements, and a few of the ones from this trailer were also in that game. But they changed up how the game actually worked. Like the Tears of Light, there were fewer of them in the HD version. They changed how you fish in the beginning. They just made little elements of the game more enjoyable. And that's the kind of stuff I wanted to see. And I'm not entirely sure we saw that.
No, shall we go through the entire list of deliciousness that they have bequeathed us?
Let's do it.
Okay, so in order, you get some optional help from Fee. Now, I'm not super familiar with this game, so I'm not entirely sure what's new and what's not new. But when you get advice from Fee when your sword glows, you get several options. You get objective, which I assume is what you're supposed to be doing at this time, like get to the water temple. Does that sound about right?
I'm pretty sure objective is the default thing that was in the first game, but it seems like they've given us more though. Like people were asking for less Fee, and I think they've given us more Fee.
Yeah, I mean, I know anyone who's heard my thoughts on this before will know that I wasn't super into Skyward Sword at all, to the point that I wasn't sure where I was supposed to go and gave up basically because I was bored. So in this instance, a little bit of help might have been useful. I don't know, but at the same time, yeah, everyone was asking for less Fee. But you also get advice, John. You get advice.
What does that mean? Does that mean advice on where to go, or does she just give you life advice?
I'd like to think the latter, personally, but I feel it's probably going to be the former.
Probably. This stuff is harmless. I mean, we're saying it's more Fee, but it's stuff you never need to use. So if you're stuck and you want advice on where to go, or you want, I don't know exactly what rumor means. Maybe she just tells you... It sounds like advice. It sounds like she's just giving you maybe a little tip of what you can do, or maybe something that's in that area that's optional, perhaps. So that kind of stuff is cool, but it's not exactly what I was begging for with this remaster.
Yeah, because it's split into 3 categories, which you just touched on, which is summary, which... I don't know. Summary? Of what? Of advice? Of stuff she's told you before? It's mega unclear. Hint, which I think is fairly self-explanatory. I'm stuck, what do I do? And Fee's like, that wall looks breakable, boyo, because it's got massive cracks in it, you fool. And then as you said, rumors.
She might just gossip about the characters in the game. Like, I heard that Groose doesn't...
brush his teeth.
Yeah, I heard he doesn't brush his teeth.
Filthy. I mean, these people, they're living, sort of thousands of years in the past. That's no excuse for poor oral hygiene, frankly.
They must have toothpaste. They must.
The only thing I can think of the rumors would be is like side quests, sort of, I heard that Madame Meow Meow, that's a Link's Awakening character, is looking to buy some toothpaste. Or something like that, and it's a side quest and you've got to get Madame Meow Meow toothpaste. I don't know, or it just kind of like leads you towards something, like a little optional side thing. You know how you always in the Elder Scrolls games, you always ask the barman, any rumors? And they say, I hear Ragnar the Great hasn't been feeling well lately. Maybe he needs some of Polteps's poultice.
Maybe it's like that. It could also be stuff like heart pieces. Maybe she'll tell you maybe it'll go on your map where a container is, or something like that.
Maybe. Unfortunately, it's very open to interpretation. But we also get analysis, which, I don't know, is that like analyzing monsters maybe? If you've, if you're near a boss or something, then Fee can analyze it and say, you've got a 4% chance of living against a Goomba.
Maybe. I mean, analysing was a pretty big part of Fee's personality. Like, she'll say things like, oh, Master, there's a 70% chance that if you douse near here, you'll find the dungeon. Like, maybe it's just an extension of that.
God, I'd forgotten dowsing was a thing.
Yeah, all this stuff it's good if you're stuck. And I suppose that is a quality of life improvement, but it's not exciting. It's not what we wanted to be enhanced in this game.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't argue with these inclusions. They're perfectly fine. You know, they don't affect the greater gameplay at all, for better or for worse. But yeah, I have no complaints about this overall.
No, indeed. But I think it does get better, though.
It does get better, John. It does, because they tell us again, you can use button controls. I don't know whether they've ever mentioned that prior. Have you, John?
I don't think so. I think that's entirely new information.
Yeah!
Is that a quality of life improvement, or is that a different control scheme?
I mean, you could argue that it's a quality of life improvement for people who don't want to look like complete ninnies waving their things around. I say this as a staunch ARMS motion control player.
It's also accessibility, like for those who can't move their arms like that. It's cool for that, I'm sure.
Yeah. They went on about that for quite some time in this less than 2-minute trailer. They also had a big chunk at the start that was just nothing. And then they, start talking about actual quality of life. They framed this section as quality of life improvements in inverted commas. You know it's gonna be good. John, they've increased the frame rate.
Yay! I mean, we all knew this, but
yes.
I think this is their first time acknowledging it themselves.
I don't think it is. I think they just, without giving the game away, I think they didn't have that much to talk about. And so they're like, hey guys, it's double frame rate now. I was surprised they didn't mention that it was a higher resolution as well.
Same. This probably will be quite helpful for motion, though. I feel like the controls were pretty good on the Wii, but with the improved, stability of the game, it's probably going to read your inputs quite a bit better, with it just flowing at a faster rate.
Yeah, and it's a thing in VR as well when you get a slower refresh rate. Motion movements can feel a bit weird. So, higher refresh rate in this instance with the motion controls, the one-to-one everything. That's a good thing. Yeah, it's definitely going to enhance that side of things.
Yeah, and the other Zelda remasters didn't enhance the frame rate, and if anything, they kinda went back. Like Wind Waker HD during the thunderstorms would go down to 20 frames per second, and Twilight Princess had that fog area, which was really bad too. So they were a bit messy at times, so this bit, focusing on frame rate, that's a pretty big high up from the previous remasters.
There's also, you can fast forward text, presumably by pressing a button.
What's funny about that is Skyward Sword came out the same year as Ocarina of Time 3D, and that game had that function. But 10 years later, here we are.
Yeah, it's, don't get me wrong, it's a good inclusion, but is it really trailer-worthy? I mean,
It'll improve the flow of the game quite a bit, when you're on a second playthrough or something, just getting through that dialogue, that shaves off a lot of time. Yeah,
I don't want to downplay it, but at the same time, it's not something you'd write on the back of a box, is it?
I'm surprised they didn't put, we have de-emphasized the size of HUD elements, because all the text boxes are way smaller. That's not really a quality of life improvement, but Skyward Sword had a pretty huge HUD, and at the start of the game, if you didn't turn off the Wii Remote on the side, there'd be a giant overlay. So they've done the screen a lot smoother. Yeah, you can turn that off.
Oh my god. Maybe I would have carried on if I knew that. The next item on our menu of quality of life is item descriptions will now display once, and then the next time you pick them up, even after reloading a save, it won't come up again and tell you what a stamina fruit is for the 14th time.
This is great. Skyward Sword has a pretty extensive monster collecting aspect, where you find monster parts and things like that. And Twilight Princess also did this to an extent. On the Wii and GameCube, whenever you boot the game up, it will tell you what a rupee is every time. It'd be like, this is a blue rupee, it's worth 5, and so on and so on. So they didn't learn from Twilight Princess with Skyward Sword, and they kept that in for the stamina fruit, for the rupees, for the monster parts. So it's great that they're finally fixing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can bring up Fee if you don't know what an item is and say, what was the last item I picked up? And Fee just goes, pay attention, and slaps you or something. But no, this is genuinely a really good inclusion. Again, it's, I mean, it's fixing a problem, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it's again, it's not exactly back-of-the-box material, but still very, very good that they've done that, because I can imagine that would get very irritating indeed. And the last item, the most exciting one, John, we can now skip cutscenes.
I mean, that is good, because cutscenes you have to sit through these text boxes and watch them animate and everything like that, so it's nice when you're on a new playthrough to skip all that. I was just hoping that they would show us a bit more, and maybe they want to avoid spoilers, because there's parts that are very late in the game that I want to see improved. Like there's the tad tunes, which you swim around and collect. I want those to be minimised, and maybe they're not showing that because it is quite late game material. Maybe. Or maybe they've not done anything.
Maybe. I've got a horrible feeling it may be the latter, but I'm gonna choose to try and live in optimism, but I can't help but deny, when I first saw the name and, you know, the name of the trailer, I got really excited, and then I watched it and I wasn't exactly blown away.
Oh, I've spotted a quality of life improvement that they did not specify in the trailer.
Heavens to Betsy, pray tell, what is it?
So, when they are loading up the save file, there are 4 slots. One of them is an autosave slot. The original game didn't have autosaving.
That's actually genuinely really rather good. Why didn't they mention that?
Why wouldn't you say that?
You know, you mentioned the frame rate again. You mentioned text boxes. But you don't mention an autosave, which is something that I think a lot of people would expect these days, but even then...
No, also they captured their gameplay in February, which was 5 months ago.
Is that what it says? Have you...
Yes, it says on the 25th of February.
At nearly 11 o'clock at night.
God, Nintendo, please stop working.
They've played for 2 minutes, John. They played for 2 minutes.
Yeah, they played 2 minutes and then they went, that's enough. No more for me.
I wouldn't say any of the quality of life improvements that they've listed are a bad inclusion by any stretch. You know, they're only positive. I just did kind of sort of hope we'd see a bit more. Again, maybe they're holding some stuff back, but yeah, I am keen to give Skyward Sword a proper go, because I haven't. And this is a more convenient way to play it, because I can just use buttons and sit on my sofa and use a Pro Controller, which people have clarified on the eShop, because they have not made that clear. You can use a Pro Controller. Yeah. All the footage they've shown so far is of handheld mode and Joy-Con. So yeah, you can use a Pro Controller. Yeah, which is, I mean, I would say it's to be expected, but Pokemon Let's Go? Does that ring any bells? God, yeah, you can play in handheld mode just fine with buttons, but you can't use a Pro Controller. That drove me up the wall, because, you know, like the little Pokeball controller thing was awful. Like, beyond awful. It was actually terrible for massive hands like mine. And the Joy-Con, not much better, not gonna lie. Even with the great big chunky, like, battery grip, which I use for arms, which is, I'd never put batteries in it thinking about it. I just like how chunky it is. No, I think it genuinely contributed to wrist problems I have, which is great fun. That and editing video for a living. Indeed. And hopefully when this game comes out, and we've played through the entire thing, we can inform you of any more quality of life improvements there are. You can be absolutely certain we will. In fact, maybe we'll even have a dedicated video to it. Who knows? Ooh, maybe. Maybe. That is a literal maybe I'm probably going to forget now. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you check out that staggering list of 3 quality of life improvements that we've applied to that subscribe button, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. It would improve my quality of life if Nintendo would send me a sword in the sky.